Today's videos, we start having a look to PayPal, Goldman Sachs, and Charles Schwab. According to my Intrinsic Value app calculator, PayPal is undervalued by 45%, Goldman Sachs 42.89%, and Charles Schwab 40%. So why PayPal is undervalued? If we have a look to the stats, so the acquire multiple is 8.6, so it's really low. The Piotrowski score is positive, and the Altman score is in the gray zone, so can be better. The PayPal has a positive cash flow, and if we have the look to the chart, the candle just crossed the upper Bollinger Band and is in the overbought zone. So the RSI is in overbought zone as well, but the price is still under the 200 SMA. So PayPal look cheap because the stock has been hit hard while the business is still profitable and cash generative. PayPal revenue rose to 33 billions and transaction margin dollars rose 6%. Operating income rose 14% and non-operating income rose 9%. At the same time, valuation trackers show that is trading around 8.6 times price to free cash flow and about 2.3 times price to book, which is low for a large payments platform. Bulls see a mismatch between a still large network and a depressed multiple. The market is pricing in execution risk. In February, PayPal gave a 2026 profit outlook below expectation, missed on only the quarter revenue and profit, and replaced his CEO. PayPal itself had previously told investor it expected high single-digit transaction margin dollar growth and low teens plus non-GAAP EPS growth by 2027. So the gap between the longer-term story and the weak near-term outlook is why the stock screens as undervalued. Basically, it's cheap because the market does not yet trust the turnaround. So PayPal is a really interesting stock. The distance from the 52-week high is 35%, but the consensus upside is only 3.7%. The other interesting stock is Goldman Sachs. The Goldman Sachs, if we have a look to the chart, is basically trading to his highest high, so is really high. It nearly crossed the upper Bollinger Band and the price is above the 200 SMA. However, Goldman Sachs, according to my app, is still undervalued by 42%. The distance from the 52-week high is 4%, and the consensus upside is 7%. But the stock basically gained, if we have a look back to the chart, gained something like 35% in the last year. So the prospect of the stock is really good. It's really good. Maybe now is a bit too high to buy, but for sure it will be like in my radar when the RSI will go in the oversold zone and the price will drop below the SMA 200. Third stock of today is Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab is undervalued by 40%. The distance from the 52-week high is 13%, and the consensus upside is 28%. Charles Schwab is trading just below the 200 SMA, and the RSI is going in the oversold area. So if the RSI go in the next few days in the oversold or near the oversold area, this will be like a really interesting stock to buy. And the candle is nearly below the lower Bollinger Band, and then price it has been like consolidating of around like a couple of weeks. We can say that is at the same level of the half February. So it has been trending like in this area for a couple of weeks. So this will be like an interesting stock, in my opinion, to buy at the current time. And so my plan is to buy Charles Schwab in the next maybe week, couple of weeks, and to wait that it will cross again the overbought area. So this is another stock in my area. If we check the general market of the SP 500, Nvidia and all the other tech stock are overvalued. Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, everything. The only undervalued stock in the top SP 500 is JP Morgan, but is fairly priced, and Oracle, together with, we can say, ABBV and the Bank of America. If we have a look to the earnings, the upcoming earnings, interesting earnings, is Boeing, Intel, Robinhood, Coca-Cola, Tesla, Apple, Starbucks, MasterCard, and Palantir. And there are like a lot of stocks, interesting stocks. And so these are like upcoming earnings. So in the next few days, maximum a week. If we check the recent earnings, United Health Group beat the earnings, and today is not written yet in my app, but today rose 8%, so is gaining a lot. Since earnings, Netflix moved 10%, so it's down 10%. Morgan Stanley, Bank of America are at the same level, and ASML dropped 7% since earnings. JP Morgan 2.5% since earnings, and Johnson & Johnson and Goldman Sachs are stable. If we check the selected news of today, the SP 500 is on Iran ceasefire, and the crude oil soars to $90. So the SP 500, like yesterday, is slightly down. And Kevin Walsh, so the President Donald Trump's nominee to lead the Fed, say that he will not be like a Trump puppet. So the Fed must stay in its line, and he vowed to protect the Fed independence in Senate hearing opening remarks. So Walsh is a kind of independent person, and I don't believe he will receive pressure from Trump, because he was part of the Fed back in the days, and he resigned because the Fed wasn't aligned in his way of thinking. So I believe he's the right person to cover that role. Trump as well said that he will be disappointed if Walsh doesn't cut rates right away, but I don't believe Walsh will cut rate right away, because the inflation is quite high, and so most probably he will not lower like interest rate. If we have a look to the snapshot of the SP 500, the SP 500 is down 0.6% today. The price is still near the all-time high, and is way above the 200 SMA. The RSI is going down, so if Trump doesn't find an agreement for the war, I believe the RSI will go in the oversold zone in few days. So we will see tomorrow what happens. Regarding the ETF flow, so the ETF flow is the daily transparent ETF activity across the tracked fund set, like the belt that is BlackRock and the ARK. So today we had 102 buys and 15 that sell. If you have a look at what they found buying, so the belt, so BlackRock sold Microsoft, but 3 funds are buying currently: Microsoft, Nvidia, Broadcom, Applied Material, Meta, Carrier Global, and RTX Comp, all together with Lilly and General Electric. We see that as well the Starbucks and Apple stock have been bought by few hedge funds. And for today video, that's it. And we will see tomorrow if Trump will find an agreement for the war and finally will end.